Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Superhero Finder podcast for episode 102. I never thought I'd say that. It's such a big number. But I'm delighted to be joined in this room today by a guest who I'm going to introduce in a second. But of course, I'm going to go over why we're here. So I'm scouring the cosmos. I'm the Superhero Finder, Matt, and I'm looking for people with inspiring stories who have either been through something, supported somebody through something, who have achieved great things, big, small, famous people, rich people, normal people, Joe blogs, everyone, because I believe there's real life superheroes everywhere. And whether you're here because you want to be able to learn something yourself and take something away, or actually whether it's to give to somebody else, maybe you're a giver, maybe you're a carer, and that can also be good. But thank you for joining us, and welcome to the Mattcave. I haven't said that for a little while, all of that. Welcome, Hannah Martin. How are you?
Hello, I'm fine, thank you, Matt. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. It feels like ages since I've done an online one because my last episode was actually in person. It was in a
Yes, I
studio.
did see. I did see actually on your socials that you did something in person. Looked very interesting.
Very exciting, and it did come out today, which is the day we're recording, which is not the day this is going to be out. So if you are watching this now, it came out a week ago. Go watch it.
I'll definitely give it a watch.
Perfect, thank you. So I came across your TikTok profile. Okay, because my life is a lot of TikTok at the moment. I think there's some fantastic stuff on there, mixed in with the absolute tripe that's also on there. But when I came across your profile and one of your videos, what struck me was just how raw and honest and authentic it was. And that struck a chord with me because I love content that is storytelling, but it's somebody there with a purpose to do something. Would you like to, first of all, now that we've whet the appetite of the listeners, would you like to just go over a little bit about you so people can
Sure, yeah. So I'll start by just telling you a little bit why I started this journey. So back in 2019, I met my abusive perpetrator. It was actually on my 30th birthday. Was hoping to go out and have fun. But little did I know, I met somebody that was going to unfortunately change my life forever. Now, this guy came on thick and strong. He told me he loved me very quickly. I don't know if anyone's aware of love bombing. I don't want to go too much into detail about sort of the trauma that went happen because I'm not about that. I'm about survival and moving on from trauma and domestic abuse. So we had about 18-month relationship, the worst kind of abuses that you can imagine. Awful, awful, awful. I then had the courage to do something about it. I had support from Northamptonshire Police, who were fantastic. I know that's not the case for everybody, and I do feel very fortunate to have the support that I got from them. I also got justice, which I also know is very rare, and I think that's what's given me the confidence and the enthusiasm to do what I'm doing, because I know that there is help out there. And for ladies that aren't able to get that justice, because it's not always possible, they need somebody. They need somebody that is going to understand them. They need somebody who's not going to judge them. And they also need somebody, just to even watch their daily lives. I have ladies message me saying, "Thank you for making me feel not so lonely. I'm just making a cup of tea,
Yeah,
And
yeah,
even just making that little cup of tea also helps me because I know I've got a community. If I'm ever upset, I can always talk to one of my ladies in my community.
yeah.
So yeah, that's what started it really, and then it's kind of just blossomed, and yeah, it's just really empowering.
I love that. I love that. Was it always something that felt so easy to come, or actually, before you started the account and before you made, I suppose, the first video, knowing that it was actually putting the story out into the world that perhaps other people that know about it could see and make judgment on? Sometimes that can be difficult. How was that?
So the reason why I decided to sort of do this was because when I was going through sort of the court proceedings and right at the very end of the relationship, when I felt like I couldn't breathe, I didn't have anyone to talk to. Anyone who has been through domestic abuse knows that you are confined into that house, confined to that relationship, and there is absolutely no way out. You're lost, you lose contact with friends and family, and you just feel trapped. And I'll give you an example. I remember sitting in the bath, sort of the only time sometimes that I would get a bit of peace to myself, and scrolling through my phone, looking for people like me. And I just couldn't find anyone. Like, I couldn't find any self-help groups. Obviously, we've got like the Women's Aid, we've got Refuge. But when you're going through that, those things sound so scary. You know, you don't want to go and sit and tell a professional what you're going through. You're scared that your children are going to get taken away. You're scared you're going to be judged. You need somebody who has been through it. So that is what did it for me. And when he went through his prosecution, it took a very long time to get from him being arrested to his prosecution, as you probably know. During that time, I remember saying to friends and family, I want to do something. You know, I want to help people. I know that I can make a difference to the way, not that the world deals with domestic violence, but how I can help people recover, because there is light at the end of the tunnel. Like, I really promise you that.
I love that. I really do love that. And that's why I've been excited to have this conversation. I know you're equally excited to be.
Definitely. I'm so eager to spread the word. I really am.
But there's just something, I mean, I've spoken to a lot of people who have used the kind of energy from the learning from a traumatic event or events. And the idea that you can muster all that up and then use it to give to other people to better other people's experience of lives is just incredible, because it feels like you just want to curl up and not talk to anyone about it. It can do. You can get yourself in that cycle, can't you?
It's horrible. There's just, you don't feel as if there's any way of getting out of it. Sorry, when an abuser is making you feel so low every single day, calling you names, you feel like nobody's going to believe you for a start. You feel so hopeless that, you know, sometimes the only route out for a lot of women is to take overdoses, which is something that I have done before during my time. And that's something else that I really need to highlight, which I'm yet to do yet. That's on my schedule of things to do. And I know that a lot of the time when women are getting killed, it's an easier option for them. They can sort of encourage sort of the abuse to get it over and done with quicker, so it's not sort of going through this torment for a long period of time. Does that make sense? There are so many things that need to be understood about domestic violence. How an empath, sorry, I'm going on a bit of a tangent here, but you'll find that it's always the same sort of people that come together in an abusive relationship. You have the empath and you have the narcissist, and with all the women that I speak to, it's always the same. They are empathetic women that don't know how to say no, and they have no self-boundaries. So when they're situated with this new love and they're getting this love bombing, all this attention, they're like, wow, this is lovely. This is exactly matching my energy. It's false. It's not. So then once they're trapped and they then progress into this abusive relationship, you're trapped and you can't leave. So all of that energy is stripped from you. So when you leave this relationship, it is about rewiring your brain. It's about learning self-boundaries, loving yourself, and all the things that you probably didn't even know you should have done before you met your perpetrator.
I've got a question that's been burning as you've been talking. Who was the first person that you reached out to tell that something was happening?
So my best friend, I'm very, very fortunate. My best friend, Emma, she has stuck by me through thick and thin, and it hasn't been easy for her. There are times where friends and family do give up, and that's not their fault, because it is so hard when you see a loved one going through all that trauma and they keep saying, no, I'm going to leave this time. I'm going to leave this time.
Yeah.
Your best friend doesn't want to deal with your death, basically, as awful as that sounds. They don't. But this is what I'm trying to change. And I know my friend Emma is very, very supportive of the work that I'm doing. She now understands how it works, how their minds work, how victims' minds work. And I just really want to put it out there that even if you feel that somebody should leave, you should not cut that support with them. As hard as it is for you to see a loved one go through that pain, if you distance yourself from them, you're only going to push them further into the arms of the abuser. 100%. You're going to make the victim feel worthless and that they're not believed. So it's really difficult. There's so much education that needs to be done on this subject.
Yeah, because that really is a tough situation. And I've, if I think back, I found myself, and I've been in situations myself where people have either distanced themselves or would it be safe to say that if you are really struggling with that and you keep, for all the will in the world, you keep saying, look, leave, look, I'll support you and all this, and that person doesn't, and at the end of the day, it's their choice.
Yeah, of course.
But I can't help but thinking that if you are really struggling with that, rather than distancing yourself, because that never feels right within yourself anyway, that never sits right. Maybe it's just a case of either checking in or making sure that they know the door's open. It's not necessarily being there every day.
I agree. I think it's about having a safety plan as well. And, if you can't leave for whatever reason, or you don't feel if it's the right time to leave, which is quite often the case, I would suggest sort of creating a safety plan. You say to your friend, look, I'm not expecting you to be there constantly every day, me downloading all my trauma onto you, but we need a safety plan. If I send you this text message or if this happens, then I need you to do something about it. Does that make sense? Yeah. Because on average, it does take a woman around 7 times to leave their perpetrator. Probably me, probably more. So, it's a really tough old road. It's really tough.
Yeah. I mean, I've mentioned to you a couple of organisations that, I've had interactions with, and, been set up from similar stories, similar experiences. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that we do at Soundproof Box is we talk about to young people at the moment, especially, is around the kind of the non-physical forms of abuse as well. And I know that's something you're passionate about, kind of getting the word out. Now, you mentioned love bombing. I've also been, educated to things towards triangulation. Yeah. There's all sorts of stuff. I wonder if we could just explore a little bit about what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, of course. So I think the sort of mind manipulation and the coercive control side of things is probably lesser talked about because it's not obvious. Mm-hmm. Now, my perpetrator was convicted of coercive control and behaviour, which is quite a recent prosecution. It's really hard for them to get charged because it's all evidence-based. It's all what's come out of somebody's mouth. So it's really difficult to prove that, to even charge somebody with that. So again, with that, I think it is about education. We start young, we go into schools and we educate young lads about appropriate relationships and how to treat someone. And the same with girls, because for whatever we know, they could then have at home a sort of psychologically abusive relationship with a family member, which would then lead to them to go on to have an abusive relationship because that's all they ever know. So it's about breaking down these sort of these emotions before they get into adulthood. Because if we look at idiots like Andrew Tate, for example, who's in all these young lads' heads about how to treat a woman and women are less and this, that, and the other, that's not the right way to be, little boys. You know what I mean? It's really not. And I think that there does need to be more done in schools. Like, if we use this as an example as well, knife crime is huge at the moment in Northampton, but so are women being killed just as much. So the same amount of women, I think, have been killed in Northampton as young lads being stabbed to death. But yeah, they're doing work in schools about knife crime, which is brilliant, but then they're not doing work in schools about domestic violence as much. Where does that weigh up? It's equally as important. You know, it really, really is. So I don't know. I mean, I can't change the world. I'm not going to stand outside Parliament with a flag because that doesn't work either. It's just about building a community and educating our young people as much as we can, really.
Yeah, and like you said, you alluded to there about, you know, if you're in a family or you see and you're surrounded by relationships which are abusive or just aren't healthy, then that's how you grow up, and your belief systems as to how normal that is,
absolutely,
then can get put over to it, you know, to a new relationship. Sure. So the education piece is really then about highlighting what's healthy and what isn't healthy, so that not only people can, so the kind of empaths that you mentioned, those kind of people can be aware of the signs of somebody that would take advantage of that.
Definitely, because an empath, all they know is love. They want to help people, so they didn't expect anyone to be abusive. I didn't, you know. I know that bad things happen in the world, but I was never taught those sort of self boundaries, what's right and what's wrong, how to be treated right, how to be treated poorly. So going into that relationship and then being love bombed, that was normal to me. You know, that was completely normal. So then dealing with the aftermath of that, it was completely abnormal. And I'm so hot with my especially my little girl at the moment, because she's just coming to that age where she's asking questions about relationships and etc. And I am so hot on her having self boundaries and about standing your own and recognizing signs. I mean, she's probably sick to the back teeth of me talking about it, but you know, she really, really appreciates what I'm doing, and therefore she's then going to educate her friends. And you know what I mean? It is just about spreading the word, definitely, and raising awareness.
It's such important work to be doing, and I'm glad, you know, glad I came across it. I'm glad the algorithm pointed me towards one of your videos.
Oh, no, thank you for finding me.
Well, it's literally how things work nowadays, right? It's completely random based on what other things you've been watching. And, you know, it's really interesting when you talk about the empath, because that's a position I've been in relationships, and I've been through some really, really challenging stuff. And I'm only now realizing the amount of kind of emotional abuse and things, because we think of it as physical, right? We generally just go, well, abuse is physical. And then because there's been a lot more work done nowadays to identify some of the other stuff, you go, hang on, that wasn't right. That really wasn't right. And I've struggled to understand how serious they were, because I just thought, oh, well, maybe I need to change, or maybe you know,
it's not you.
Going to do something. There's always a reason. You try and reason for things. But it's what I wondered then, because again, you mentioned boundaries, so I struggle so bad with boundaries, and it's a challenge that I'm working on, and I think it's that kind of empathic trait, and other people always becoming priority. How did you find going from being in that relationship, being subject to that, having the dynamic, because it's all about the dynamic and where you fit in that relationship, and what you know, whether you've got boundaries or not, to then essentially being out of that and then being in a position where you can then build your own boundaries? Because I would find that really overwhelming, and I have done. So how did you find that?
So it really is a sort of self-discovery journey, I'd say. So what I did when I came out of the relationship, I knew that I needed to feel better. I'm a single parent. My little boy, he was only a baby at the time. Well, he was one. No, two, sorry. And I knew that I needed to be strong. So, and I know that takes strength. And I really, sitting here right now, I don't know where I found it from. I'm going to be completely honest. But I went online. I did as much research as I possibly could. I actually set up a cleaning business to keep my mind really, really busy. I did things that I enjoyed, sort of like taking baths. I got into sort of crystals and self-help books, and sort of just really took the time to notice myself and be a little bit selfish, because I learned how to sort of be alone and be in fight or flight mode for so long that when he left, that fight or flight mode went, but I still had that I'm on my own, I can do this sort of mentality. I don't know if that makes sense, but I did. I spent a lot of time on my own, sort of really looking into myself, started meditating, sort of working with crystals. First felt really a little bit silly doing those sorts of things because you do. They seem a bit airy fairy, don't they?
Yeah.
But even if you don't believe in those things, it is just finding something that makes you feel like you again and building up that confidence slowly but surely, but making sure that you do it in the right way and not putting your feelings into yet another perpetrator. Because I just want to highlight that quickly, actually. Statistics do show that a lot of women who have been in abusive relationships will then fall into the arms of another abuser. I've been really lucky. I spent a lot of time on my own, sort of doing what I needed to do to discover myself. And now actually I'm in a very, very healthy relationship and it's beautiful and I'm the happiest I've ever been in my life.
Good.
But until you found yourself, that's not going to happen. Unfortunately, it's not. It is, you have to be selfish on this recovery road.
It's a really powerful word, is selfish, because I think it's just been used for years in the wrong context.
Yeah, I think so. It's not being selfish. And there's a fine line between sort of being self-loving and egotistic. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
We all need to tell ourselves that we're beautiful every day. I need to tell myself more because I'm very self-critical of myself. Because when we say those things to ourselves day in, day out, they get in there and they stick. Daily affirmations, tell yourself these things, and they really, really do happen. It builds your confidence and everything will be okay. It will. And I'm a big believer that if you believe in something, it really will happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And just as an extension, then we'll talk about being selfish. For me, it's the clear distinction on why you're doing something.
Yeah.
So if you're doing something purely for you and the only motivation is you based, that's a good, healthy kind of selfish.
You can't look after somebody else if your cup isn't full. No. To be the best person you can be and to give everybody around you the best love that they deserve, your cup needs to be full first. Otherwise, you're just going to give out shit energy.
Yeah, exactly. No, I agree with that. So I'd be interested to know what's coming up next for you then in the next few months. Have you got, because your account's growing, you've got is it an empowerment group? Have I got that right?
So yeah, I've set up my own community now. I am Northampton based. So I have an online community and we are in the process of being set up as a registered charity, where I'm hopefully going to be holding sort of like group sessions where we will have holistic teachers, sort of like crystal healing, Reiki, and just doing demonstrations. Everything that I'm doing, I'm having to ask people to do it for free, so it's quite difficult at the moment to try and help me. Also, I have a documentary coming up that I'm filming for in November for a lady called Layla, Please Tell My Story. She has another domestic abuse community who is actually one of the reasons why I'm doing this. She's very inspirational.
Okay.
So I'm filming a documentary for her, which is going to be aired next year. And yeah, things keep coming up most weeks, to be honest. So yeah, I'm really, really enjoying it. It's helping me. It's healing me too.
Good. Do you ever find that you have to take just a step back? Because even though you love it,
100%.
you find that you have to still.
That's what I've told myself. Like, if I ever feel overwhelmed or emotional, I just stop what I'm doing and I'll just sit the TV on, because again, that is self-care. And if I'm doing everything to please everybody else, then I'm not going to be giving the best service that I can provide. So when I need a rest, I'll take a rest. Absolutely.
Love it. You're teaching me about boundaries now. I feel inspired to just carry on the work with my boundaries, just because you just talk about such energy.
It's good. Amazing. I'm glad. And that's what I'm hoping to bring to everybody. Good energy, powerful energy.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a really unexpected question for you, because you've not listened to any of the other episodes, which is fine, because it means
I know I'm rubbish. Sorry.
No, you're completely in the dark for this question. Now, this question for you is, I absolutely love superheroes. Okay, I'm the superhero finder. So if you could have any superpower in the world, or make one up, what would it be? And secondary, what would you use it for? I'm going to put you on the spot now. We're not editing this. You've got literally, yeah. Here we go.
This is a tricky one.
I know.
This is a really hard one, you know. I'd like to be if I could heal hearts or take do you know what I'd like to do? Take people's bad memories away. I'd like to fly to wherever somebody is when they're in pain. I'd like to have some sort of, I don't know, some sort of device that would zap those memories away, so then they're brought back into the present and they're able to thrive again. That's what I'd love to do.
Oh, I've never had that one before. So taking away the bad memories.
Yeah, taking away bad memories.
There's something deeper in that, because I wonder what the side effect of that would be, because don't some of our bad memories make us stronger?
That everything's building, isn't it? That's a very good question, because we all have these things that have happened in our life that are there to build us and to change our life or to be a lesson in our life. And yes, I do agree with that. But for some people, those thoughts are just too much and it can send them over the edge. Maybe I should reword that and say to lessen those feelings and to give people the strength, like some sort of super energy that would allow them to overcome those feelings. Maybe would be a better way to word it.
I feel like we've developed a very good and well-rounded superpower there.
Yeah, I think so too.
Hannah, now is a great opportunity for you to kind of let everyone know where they can find you if they want to follow you on social media or anywhere. Let's just...
Yeah, of course.
Where can we find
Bear
you?
with me. Do you know what? I was actually supposed to write this down, but I didn't. So you can find me on Instagram. So my son's just come to join in. Oh, I got a letter. Thank you so much. So you can find me on Instagram at Hannah_Louise_29. And it's Hannah Martin. And my TikTok, you shared that, so I'm not going to give you that. And then my Facebook, you can find me. As I said, I'm not very technical. So I'm Hannah Martin on Facebook. So yeah, and if anybody wants to join the women's only online community where we talk about all things domestic violence, not just domestic violence trauma, but lots of different trauma, that's the women's empowerment group. You have to be accepted into that. So if you send me an invitation, I can add you, and yeah, we'll go from there. Oh, hello.
Oh, hello. That's a very happy face.
Hello. I am mummy. Yes, darling. Oh.
So only one thing from me then is I'd love to know if there's someone listening now that's either seen someone in a position that you found yourself in, or maybe they're actually in a similar position to what you are now. Okay, is there any kind of piece of advice that living through that you could give to them to be able to either support? Maybe we have two. Maybe we have one for someone that's supporting someone that's going through something, and maybe one for someone that's experiencing it or experienced it.
So for the first question, I'd say stick by them as much as you can and come up with a safety plan with that person. If you don't feel as if you're able to be by their side 24/7, that's completely understandable. And for the second question, I would say that to reach out to somebody, have a look online about what groups are available, because you're not alone and there is someone out there like you and they do understand, and a problem shared is a problem halved. So, and yeah, and we can all work together as a community and move forward and be the most powerful group of women ever.
Almost. Yay! Almost as if you could be super powered.
Yeah, that would be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is Mummy a superhero, Josh? Yeah. Shall I be a superhero? Yeah.
That's always going to be a good idea. Well, guys, thank you for listening to this episode. Thank you so much. I just want a quick thank you to my patrons, Lucy and James, who support me in everything I do and able to grow this as well. If you do wonder how you can support me in this venture, you can see the link above. If you are listening and you haven't got video, It's patreon.com/thekindeststrongman. And if you don't follow me on Instagram, apart from why the devil not, it's at the kindest strongman. So from me, and thank you, Hannah. I really appreciate
No,
it.
thank you, Matt. Honestly, it's been an absolute pleasure. Honestly, it's been so lovely to meet you, and thanks for finding me.
No, you're absolutely welcome. Well, from me and Hannah, everybody, there's two words I like to say, and it's stay super.